And we still need music, don't we? And welcome. How's everyone doing tonight? It is Tuesday, August 23rd. As always, we'll take a few minutes to let people come in, get settled. Um, don't adjust your monitors. I look old and tired. Um, but as long as you're here, if you're here already, thank you for being here. Please give a shout out. Let us know where you're from. And today, I think we should do favorite flavor jelly bean. Favorite flavor jelly bean. We can even favorite flavor Jelly Belly? Yeah, favorite flavor Jelly Bean. Hey Dave, good to see you. I'm well. A little tired. It's been a long month, summer, year. Hey Chad, hope you're doing well and hanging in there. So yeah, if you're just joining us, say hi. Let us know where you're from. Yep, favorite flavor Jelly Bean is the question of the day. Orange. Hey Felice. I hope I say your name. Is it? I don't know if the J is silent. Is it Jaber? But I stumbled upon IOCDF and have been binge watching just Ethan episodes instead of Netflix ever since. Love the episodes with Kim Quinlan and Liz McInvale. I love your sense of humor. LOL. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Maybe we can get on Netflix. Well, welcome. I'm so glad you're here live. Hey, love Lana, Luby in the house, Valencia. Good to see you, Chris. Good to see you. Buttered popcorn on the jalapeno. It's like a really bad name, right? Hello, I'm jalapeno. Um, the Jelly Belly buttered popcorn or the jalapeno one from the Fiery Challenge. Yeah, the buttered popcorn. I worked at a candy store in high school, and they had the whole Jelly Belly 80 flavors, and we had to learn different combinations. And the popcorn was pretty excellent, I would say. Hi from Australia. Um, Oh, awesome. I got pronunciation on the first time. Excellent. Combo of cherry, plum, and Chardonnay. Sean Shinnick, draw your monster. It's very specific, Sean. Clearly, you have jelly bellies. All right. So we're just after 2 minutes. Thank you all for joining. I think we should get this party started. Okay. Sorry. Oh, I lost my screen. Okay, so let's get this started. My name is Ethan Smith. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a national advocate for the International OCD Foundation, which means I have OCD, and I'm just going to keep on talking it. This is my cat Callie. She's asleep. This is my other cat Bonnie, and she's sleeping too. They let me use their nursery as an office, which I'm very grateful for. Anyway, this community conversation is intended to serve as educational content and is not intended to replace therapy. For treatment related questions, please be sure to work with your local provider or contact a local clinician. The International OCD Foundation is not a crisis hotline and should not be used if you're in distress or feel unsafe. If you're in a crisis or you're ever feeling suicidal or unsafe, please go to your local emergency room, call 911, or call the suicide prevention hotline at 800-273-8255. We also always want to be respectful and kind of others. We want to create as safe a space as possible. This is obviously public on all the social media platforms, but we want us to be able to talk sincerely, candidly, vulnerably, and support one another. But keep that in mind that we are public as you talk about your own personal experiences. But we won't settle for shenanigans. So loving kindness and compassion always. With all of that, I always like to start with how is everyone doing today? If it's your first time, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome. This is just a conversation with me, one on one, or one on 60, 90, lots of people. But answer your questions. But I want to hear how everyone's doing, first of all. Let me know what's on your mind, how we're all feeling. Hey, Beth Carducci. And hey, Robert and Jean and Luann. I bet you have a story, Sean. Luby, where can I email you? I'll give you my email address at the end of the show. I always give it out. I am behind on my emails, like a month behind on my email. So I'm so sorry if you've emailed me and you're still waiting for me to reply. I hang my head in shame. There, hung. Um, well, Becky wrote, trying to keep my sleepy eyes open. Yeah, I feel you. It's been a long week. Mario in Lebanon. Um, yeah. Oh my gosh, how are you? It's been a minute. So good to glee you. So good to see you. So getting by. Getting by is okay, Chad. It's okay. Sometimes it's just about doing it. Can be messy. Doesn't have to be pretty. I feel like last week that was me. I was getting by last week, and that's all okay. Spice bird eggs from Brock's. God, I haven't seen. Remember the Brock's bins in the drugstores, and you'd walk by and you'd smell it? It was like Eckerd's, like the older drugstores, and oh, that was like I loved walking by that. That just wow, you brought up a ton of sense memory. Um, just getting by, like just well. Tell me about this. All right, so everybody seems to be maybe not feeling so great. Let's feel free to dive in. Tell me how you're feeling. Ask me some questions. I've got some stuff to start with. I can share my story as well about my week last week. I did see a question, and I want to grab it real quick. Here we are. So Chris at 7:02 p.m. says, "Hey Ethan, did you ever experience DPDR when your OCD was at its worst? I feel like this symptom is not talked about enough." It isn't talked about enough because you're literally the first person to ever ask me the question since I've been doing these lives over. So Chris is referring to depersonalization, derealization disorder. I think I have that correctly, which is basically I don't know, feeling detached from yourself mentally or physically, and like having a I guess a reduced sense of reality, kind of like a disassociation. I relate to that. I can tell you when I was at my worst, I definitely felt disassociated and detached from who I was. I think it's pretty profound with OCD because you have this sort of dual camera lens where you have the healthy lens, right? That's kind of looking around and going, why am I doing this? This is illogical. This doesn't make sense. And then you have, the OCD lens. It's like, do it. You have to do it. Everything's going to go bad if you don't. And so that kind of healthy part is you feel distant from that person. I can remember many times sort of at my lowest. In fact, one time I just started slapping my face in the mirror, like, "Where are you? Come out! Like, I know you're down there somewhere, and I can't find you." So I felt a very significant detachment from myself, and it was very confusing. I have some disassociation episodes occasionally or feel, but that specifically I definitely had at my worst. And you're right, it's not talked about often, and we should bring an expert on to talk a little bit about it, or maybe do some ask the experts live with Liz about DPDR because I don't know too much about it other than I definitely experienced a lot of the symptoms when I was really struggling. So I would definitely say you're not alone in that, and I think that is important to talk to. So thank you, Chris. Talk about. So thank you, Chris, for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Um, Chris wrote OCD is bad at the moment, but just started treatment, so hoping for the best. So a little. Well, first of all, congratulations on just starting treatment, Chris. That was at 7:06 p.m. Skyla, sorry about that. Um, so congratulations on just starting treatment. Exposure and response prevention is the gold standard, and OCD is highly treatable. Um, you know, um, I don't know how long you've been in treatment, but it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Work your own program, and you may feel worse before you feel better. Just candidly, the whole idea of treatment is to sort of have OCD come out of its hole, so you can get close to it and kind of punch it. And that can typically make you feel worse before you feel better. So just like as you start the process, or and maybe you're in the middle and at that point, but if that starts to happen, don't feel like it's not working. That's actually probably a pretty good sign that it is working. And the closer you are to OCD and the closer you're triggering it to come on, the more opportunities you have to respond to it appropriately and put it to bed. So congratulations on starting treatment, and we're all here for you and rooting for you, and anything you need, let us know. Luby wrote, "Is there a chat room for our members?" Great question. So the IOCDF has various platforms, but Skyla will put a link to our Health Unlocked platform, which is our specific IOCDF sort of chat room comment threads where people leave comments and talk about. I think we have 4 or 5 thousand members on there. So she'll put a link in the chat, and you can click on this and click on that and talk to other individuals with OCD that are part of this community. So. Jaber wrote, my current form of OCD is severe checking OCD, which is making my life hell in my personal life and work. Any thoughts, reflections? Yeah, of course, Jaber. I think the first thing is to know that, you're not alone. I think many individuals, if they haven't already commented, can relate to that. And I think, that particular subtype or symptom of OCD, as many, can be really, really difficult and disruptive. And disruptive was the D word I was looking for. But my thoughts first and foremost are always treatment. Is treatment an option? Is it accessible for you? Exposure response prevention, acceptance commitment therapy, inference, just all the different kinds of therapy, exposure-based therapies that are available. If you haven't yet, you should visit the IOCDF website at iocdf.org. There's a lot of amazing resources on there, specifically related to checking OCD as all varieties and subtypes and symptoms of OCD. It's important to point out that, regardless of your subtype or symptom, the treatment works, right? ERP, ACT, whatever is right for you can work. And so, keep that in mind, that I know individually we feel so unique in our own symptoms and subtypes and feel like we're very different than other individuals with OCD because what we're experiencing may be different. So the first thing you'll notice when you sort of engage in an OCD community is you may find that you relate to other people, which is really important, letting you know that you're not alone. You may feel like you are more alone, in the sense that I know when I joined an OCD community, group, therapy, whatever, I very much felt like I was the only one suffering with my stuff, which made me alienate myself from everyone else because I felt like I couldn't relate to anyone that was going through other types of OCD, which is why I can't stress enough the importance of, outside of the symptoms and subtypes being used for treatment, at the end of the day, we all have OCD. It's all OCD and it's all treated the same way. And so that's just important that, the outside of, connection and building relationships around similar experiences with subtypes and symptoms. Your subtypes and symptoms are not unique or special. They are all OCD, and you can plug those into any of the formulas for exposure response prevention and ACT, and you can get better. And that's kind of, I think that's important to keep in mind, is that we're not defined by our subtypes of symptoms. They don't make us special. You as the individual are special, Jaber, not your OCD. But regardless of whether you connect or you don't connect, or you haven't heard of somebody with your type of OCD, all types of OCD are OCD. So just to kind of hit that home. And yes, it can manifest differently, and it can be there are subtypes and symptoms that are more stigmatized. There are subtypes and symptoms that maybe less or more understood. In no way saying that all our journeys and experiences are equal. They are not. But I'm simply saying that we are all here, and regardless of our symptoms and subtypes, we all have OCD, and we all have an opportunity to support one another, and hopefully, get better. So, good question. Where did I lose? I lose my place, which is unusual. Also, and I say this every time, but if I'm a little slow today, I apologize. I'm a little tired, and the brain isn't firing on all cylinders. So if I'm searching for words, I apologize, but I will do the best I can. We show up. Betsy wrote, doing well, fighting OCD, and started to cruise. Then fell into compulsions today. Started to cruise. I'm going on a cruise in January, and I was like, that's great. You're fighting OCD and you went on a cruise. That's like the perfect thing to do, Betsy. So all right, I'm assuming you started to cruise with fighting OCD and not going on a cruise, which would have been fine too. The fell into compulsion, I need to start the fight now. You do. but be compassionate with yourself also. It's a roll. It ebbs and flows. It waxes and wanes. And what we did yesterday to fight our OCD may or may not work today, just depending on stress and what's going on in life and all those things. My compulsions ticked up. My OCD ticked up last week, and I'll talk about it a little bit later. Um, but the fact that you're aware of it, you have insight about it, and you're going, yeah, I need to fight a little bit harder now. That's awesome. So we remain compassionate with ourselves, meet ourselves where we are, say, and the compassion looks like, I can accept where I am right now, but I can also want better for myself moving forward. So that's awesome. I love that, Betsy. And I love that you were doing well. And that's what it is. I continue to say my mantra, which is more good days than bad. So that is a testament to, you were cruising. That's great. You had an off day. That's okay too. Do your best to get back on the wagon and keep having great days. And it's just all part of it. It's a blip, just a blip. It can feel like more than a blip, I know, but at the end of the day, it's just a blip. The powerful thing about this OCD thing is, if you've had treatment, and this is where treatment is really powerful, you are in control of your own recovery and relapse prevention, and it's kind of it's a pretty big paradigm shift. But the concept, in short, if you're not familiar, is exposure response prevention, and therapy is all about dealing with uncertainty. And OCD makes us feel miserable about uncertainty. We crave, we need certainty, and we try to attain certainty by engaging in rituals and compulsions to make us feel better. By we do X, then Y won't happen, or we won't feel Y, or whatever that is. And in reality, we have very little control over anything. And I've talked about this many times. I know I sound like a broken record, but we have very little control, right? Focus and behavior. That's all we have control over. We don't have control over our thoughts. We don't have control over our feelings, and we definitely have control over other people. But what's interesting about that is, out of all of this lack of control, what's super exciting about treatment is that you do have control over whether you choose to compulse or not. Now, that doesn't mean we should beat ourselves up when we choose to. It's a disease, it's a disorder, and it can be difficult to fight and challenging to fight. So that's okay. Just like told Betsy, right? It's okay that she fell into compulsions today. She recognizes she needs to fight. She's going to try again tomorrow. Maybe she succeeds, maybe she doesn't, but you keep at it, right? But what keeps me so optimistic is this idea of, once you realize you have a choice and you've done it and it works, how powerful is that to know that a relapse from OCD, or letting OCD really take over, is really just a series of choices. And again, I say this with all the humility in the world, as in OCD has put me in bed a few times this year. So, I'm not speaking high and mighty. I'm just telling you like it is, right? So, and I always do. I think that relapse is a series of choices, in the sense that you can't relapse without compulsions. You can have obsessive thoughts, and the thoughts can tick up, and we can't really control those obsessive thoughts. It's when they turn into the compulsions and we relent to doing them that it starts to compound and get worse and worse. And over time, the more compulsions we do, the worse the OCD gets, and potentially, takes over our life again. The fact that we have control and can choose to sit with the discomfort, uncertainty, and the fears, extreme fear sometimes, and not compulse, will then, just therapy, requiet the obsessive thinking, and start to put it back to bed. And I like having that power. I'm not always successful at it, by any means, but I like the fact that it's in my hands. And there's not many disorders or diseases that you have that kind of power. I mean, think about it. If your cancer comes back, if your MS flares up, if your diabetes gets out of whack, you know, medication, doctor visits, things like that, it's challenging. But how interesting is it that when our OCD flares up, Betsy can simply say, tomorrow I need to do better. Like, if you think about how simple that, I've never made this correlation, but if you think about the simplicity of that, that's powerful to hold that power. And it also makes it really difficult. Sometimes it'd just be easier to go to the doctor and get a pill, or go to the doctor and to get an infusion or something. But it's so important to realize that you have control. You're driving the ship. And that isn't to put pressure on you. That isn't to suggest that if you relapse, it's your fault. I would never say that. That's not the truth. I simply say it to inspire you. I say it to let you know that you have power and say in this OCD fight with yourself. So when OCD screams, you don't have to do what it says. It's not always easy, for sure, but knowing that you have control over that compulsion piece of it, which is the catalyst for relapse, um, is a powerful tool to know that you have that. When I first got better, and I moved to Los Angeles, I'd been like almost obsessive thought free for 6 or 7 months, and then I moved there and started all my obsessive thoughts returned. And in my mind, I had relapsed. So I called my therapist in Boston, and I was like, oh my God, they're all back. Like I just finished this crazy journey, and all these thoughts are back. And like, now what? I'm back to square one. And he quickly reminded me, he's like, what can we control? What can't we control? Oh, can't control thoughts. Oh, we can't control actions and behavior. Oh, so the thoughts are just the thoughts. And if I don't do the neutralizing behavior, and that was such a powerful realization. I always remember that conversation because that's when I was like, oh, I have a choice in this. There's a choice. And again, it's not to beat yourself up if you struggle. It's to simply empower you. Um, and sometimes, it will overwhelm you because of everything going on in your life. And that's okay too. That's why we have support and doctors and medication and all the things that we need to live through our life. Sorry to go on that rant, but it's inappropriate. Kylie at 7:12 p.m. says, "How to stop compulsions? I went a while without doing them, and now I can't stop doing them again." So yeah, Kylie, as I said, you have a choice, but without treatment and therapy, that's a very hard choice to make. You definitely need skills, tools, support. So the way you stop compulsions definitely is treatment, and you can visit the IOCDF website for resources on treatment. There's a lot of different options to access treatment, but exposure response prevention is the gold standard. There are other treatments as well. But the whole idea is to recognize your thoughts for what they are, be willing to sit with the discomfort when you have those thoughts, and not engage in the compulsion. So it's actually to not compulse is the treatment for to stop compulsing. So at the end of the day, it is the idea that you're willing to sit with your scary thoughts, whatever they are, and be willing to let those fears happen, regardless of what may come up. That a thought is just a thought, and we have to recognize that as an OCD thought. But it's very hard to do by yourself. It's very hard to do without support. If you can't access treatment or therapy, you can reach out to the foundation. There are also amazing books and websites and all kinds of things to follow, and that can hopefully help give you the support that you need. So doing that alone without any guidance is really difficult. John Grayson's book, Freedom from OCD, it's sort of the Bible and really gives you the basics of exposure response prevention is a good one to pick up. So, but that's the essence of it is essentially is recognizing when it's OCD. And I know that the compulsions can feel automatic, like it doesn't feel like a choice, right? It feels like I have this thought and then I do this thing, and then before I realize it, I'm already doing this compulsion. But it's recognizing that it is a choice, and you start to separate that obsession from that compulsion, and create that space in between where you can make a decision. Um, and uh, and so that's essentially, the high level overview of how to stop compulsions. Um, I looked at a question, but I wanted and thank you, Marion. I appreciate that. Um, I want to say that these chats are so helpful, make some of us feel this is a normal process of OCD patients. Oh, Luby, I appreciate it. This is the process. This is our life. This is our life. It's a chronic disorder. But I would argue that, our life is pretty good and can get better. I still struggle, good days and bad days, as I have new stress and anxieties, things tick up, but I do have more good days than bad. And I do find joy in life, and I do have serene and peaceful moments, and I can enjoy things in a way that I never could before. And so, you know, And also, who doesn't have a crappy day, right? You don't need any anxiety disorder to have a crappy day. There's lots of crappy days to be had just by life. So, and in some ways, I feel that therapy has given me resources and tools and skills to be able to deal with life way better than people that haven't had it. Definitely coping with uncertainty better than other people. So, um, it's a normal process, but this idea of chronic can sound scary, but in reality, it's the best we've got right now. And coming from a place of not living at all, I'm living a very full life. Not every day is perfect. Not every day I feel great. A lot of days it's super messy. Um, but I'll take that every time. So I'm glad you're enjoying these. I keep clinging to my adult sons, which is not healthy for me or them. I am a pathetic excuse for an adult. Love, Lana. We don't tolerate that self-talk in here. You are navigating life the best you can, and I would suggest integrating some self-compassion into that. And if you have any questions, let us know how we can help. But I don't like to see that. So sending you love, love, Lana. Um, and Marion, it sounds like you can relate. Um, it's hard. So I'll just hopefully, Marion, you're okay. I'm gonna post 7:13 p.m. I'll post her. So she and Lovelana are commiserating over the fact that they were struggling and they turned to their sons, their children, and then they feel guilty for doing that. Thank you. So just want to hopefully, Marion, that's okay. If leave a comment below if I shouldn't have done that. No kidding. Um, but listen, you know, um, I turn to my fiance sometimes. I turn to my mother sometimes. The first thing I learned is like, here are the skills and tools to handle it yourself. If not, therapy or therapists or friends. There's also healthy ways of dealing. Maybe you need to set parameters and rules for yourself with your kids and sit down with your kids and say, look, here's the situation, and maybe you can help me with this. But you know, beating yourself up, calling yourself pathetic, uh, is easy to do because Lord knows I'm great at telling you to have self-compassion and I'm the worst at giving it to myself. But as long as I'm dispensing the advice not to myself, um you know we are human beings. We are not perfect, and we have to deal with this disorder that can be very, very challenging and tricky and complicated. And it is totally understandable to want to turn to family and people around you that get it and understand and that love you unconditionally, and then feel guilty for it. That is understandable. So then the question then becomes, what can I do to change that behavior? How can I support myself without putting it on my kid? And perhaps that's a great question for a clinician or one of our other live streams. I don't know that I have any lived experience advice for that other than communication, other than recognizing that it's not healthy to do that, that it doesn't make you feel good to do that. And so, what are some things that you can put in place to potentially um, help you mitigate that behavior, right? Can you sit down with your children and say, listen, I know it's hard when you hear me talk about this, and I don't want to put this on you. So maybe next time when I start, I'm giving you permission now to say, Mom, I love you, but this doesn't help your OCD. And so I'm going to walk away and not let you have this conversation with me. Does it look like that? What does the communication look like to give you the support? And that's okay to put that on them. That's okay, depending on how old. I don't know how old your kiddos are. Lovelana said adult son, so definitely, Marion, if your son is younger, you don't want to put that responsibility on a certain age. But I think communication is really helpful in that fight. But you're far from pathetic. So you know, this is a process. We're doing the best we can. So yeah, for some reason that upset me, Lovelana. So, but you're not alone. Colleen at 714 wrote, are there advocates for people with OCD to obtain accommodations in college setting that does not want to offer the accommodations my therapist has told me that I need? Great question. So yes, There are, and it's frustrating because I don't. So let's put a link to anxiety in the classroom. We did a panel on this a while ago, and we talked about individuals that will essentially do what you're talking about, which is fight for accommodations that you would need. Um, my suggestion is to email or call the foundation, and we can put you in touch or give you direction as to where to head with that. I don't, I don't or can't remember any offhand, um, but the answer is yes. There are individuals that can help you with that, whether they're already based in the school or part of a different organization. So I'm sorry I can't answer you here, but definitely if you email the IOCDF or call them, you can also they may have some information on anxiety in the classroom. Skyla's. Oh yes. Oh well, there you go. I should read. Also, Colleen, as Skylar reminded me, and thank you for that. Tomorrow is a live stream at 12 p.m. Oh, no, on September 28th. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Skyla. So in a month from now, there's a live stream on some of this conversation. But in the meantime, definitely check out the website, Anxiety in the Classroom, and reach out to the IOCDF, and we can definitely hopefully point you in the right direction because there are individuals that will help you fight for that. And I have a feeling maybe someone left a comment, but great question, Colleen. I'm sorry I don't have the answer for you right here, but we'll get you in the right place for sure. Just saying, 10-year-old daughter's current form of OCD is self-harm. She will touch the hot curling iron or hot glue gun. She will touch sharp objects such as scissors or crafting. What can you share on that, please? Um, so Andy, you don't need to post this, Skyla, but I will say, Andy, if you're still on, I don't know, has your 10-year-old daughter been formally diagnosed with OCD? Anything else around that? Most of the time, the self-harming aspects are a different piece or potentially even a different diagnosis. I'm not a clinician. Usually, the OCD symptomatology reflects a fear of harming yourself or others. If she's actually doing that, that might be something else entirely. So I'm curious if she has a formal diagnosis, and if she does, if potentially there's something else going on. Um, so you might want to explore that a little more um, because it would definitely be worth it. Typically, self-harming behaviors are indicative of um, something else. There have been situations where the OCD is compelling you, like if you don't do this, then something bad will happen. So I'm going to touch something sharp or touch something hot because I don't want my mom to die or something like that. And if that's the case, yeah, that's definitely OCD. Regardless, what I would suggest is reaching out to a treatment provider ASAP and getting some professional insight into what's going on and and how we can support her and how they can support you and your daughters. So yeah, Chad. I know. I thought smart devices were the best idea ever because then I could look and see, but then you just check over and over again. So I feel you on that for sure. Um, you're welcome, Betsy. Oh, I'm behind on comments. I'm so sorry. I keep thinking God should just punish me as harsh as possible and then free me from the aspect of my OC from this aspect of my OCD. All right, Lana. Listen, we need to have a talk. Um, email me. Email me. Um, email me because I mean, I have a feeling a lot of people can relate to this. So I'm going to speak to this a little bit, which is we have a disease, we have a disorder. That disease and disorder doesn't make us bad. It crushes my heart to read that. I'm sorry. It doesn't make us bad people. It doesn't make us immoral. It doesn't make us, I believe, it doesn't make us bad human beings. We definitely don't deserve to be punished for having OCD. Yes, OCD can make us make or convince us to make poor decisions. OCD can make us selfish. OCD can make us neglect responsibility. OCD can make us different than who we are and who we want and strive to be, right? OCD pushes us down and kind of sits on top of us like a 1,000-pound gorilla while we act like this other person. Um, when I was really struggling, I was a terrible friend. I made lots of plans and then canceled them last minute. I had every best intention. I wasn't the best employee. I wasn't the best boyfriend. I wasn't a lot of things. I do not deserve to be punished for that. I have a mental illness. And I would argue, Lana, that if you were unable to do things, and I know I always use a comparison, but if whatever you determine as being a good mom or a good adult or worthy, um, if you had something else, if you had cancer, an inability to walk, um, you couldn't take care of yourself or others, um, plug in exceptionality, disability, disease, disorder, would you deserve to be punished for that? Would any of you deserve to be punished for that? I realize we're talking about scrupulosity and morality and things that our OCD are preying upon, but simply talking on the surface, not involving OCD, we have a disease, a disorder. It impacts our life. It creates a situation where being who we are can be difficult without the right treatment. And some of us can't access the right treatment. And that's why I and we and the foundation, everybody else, are fighting so hard to make treatment accessible for everyone because nobody deserves a life of OCD. But at the end of the day, you are not your OCD. And you cannot punish yourself or beat yourself up or hope for punishment because of the OCD and the things that OCD has convinced you to do or made you do. I want to suggest to all of you that maybe feel the way Lana, and Lana, by the way, I'm not picking on you. I appreciate you sharing how you're feeling. I want to suggest to all of you, including myself, to really think about self-compassion this week, to really think about what it means to give yourself grace, give yourself room to be, room to be not perfect, room to be below average. Kim Quinlan talks about that a lot. Kim Quinlan says, she strives to be a B minus or a C plus in everything that she does. That's her goal. That's her goal. And maybe we can. And I always liked hearing that. I didn't agree with it because it didn't make sense to me. But can we be a C plus mom? Can we be a C plus daughter to our parents or sons? Can we be C plus at work, in our relationships? We have got to start offering ourselves compassion and stop punishing ourselves for having something that we don't have control over. We didn't ask for this. We didn't choose it. It is our life. It doesn't have to take up our life. So that's the theme of the day: compassion. Focus on it, think about it, read about it, embrace it, hold it close, and choose today forward, looking forward as where your life starts. Do not look backwards. Can't change any of that. Lana, if you feel like, and Marion, you feel like you haven't been good parents, first of all, we're very black and white thinkers, so I would argue that without knowing anything about your situation. But that doesn't mean that you can't be a good parent tomorrow, or a good person tomorrow, or make a choice that's value driven tomorrow. And I know that it's hard. And if you can't access treatment, it's hard or feels impossible. And I wish I had the answers for everyone. I mean, you can see my face. I wish I had answers and I wish I had solutions for every single person here. And I can only offer what I know. And this is what I know, that you are loved, you're supported, you're not alone. No one here deserves to be punished. So those are my feelings on that. Let's see here. I'm just going to scroll down. Let me read Jaber's comment, the 1 out of 2. Just a thought at 7:23 p.m. No matter how bad each of our OCD experiences are, we should be grateful for the resources and understanding we have of this disorder today. I mean, imagine living with OCD 100 years ago, I think, when no one has a clue in what you're going through. What kind of hell must have that been? We owe it to them to live our best lives. Beautifully said, Jaber. I'll make one correction to your statement, which is 10 years ago, 5 years ago, right? I watch people getting diagnosed and treatment now in a year, 2 years, 3 years, which, by the way, is way too long. I mean, the average is still 14 to 17 years for diagnosis. But yeah, but we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves. We are in a much better place. Just in the time that I've been advocating, I have seen things change, and we're making a dent in this. We just have to keep at it. We just have to keep at it. So I appreciate that, Jaber. Thank you. I missed Luby's question above. Ethan, do you have good resources for OCD therapists that are okay with telemedicine? Yeah, for sure. I mean, because of COVID, one of the silver linings is most, if not all, therapists offer teletherapy. So you could probably reach out to anyone in your state or that's licensed into your state, and most likely they're willing to do teletherapy. So you can start just with the resource directory on the IOCDF website and look for. You don't need to find, this goes for anyone. You don't need to find individuals in your area. It can just be in your state, or individuals that are licensed in your state. You can ask, and 9 times out of 10 they're doing teletherapy. And through COVID, so many therapists also got licensed in a variety of states, so they could do that as well. So yeah, that is definitely an option, Luby, for sure. You can also check out NoCD, which is a teletherapy company. It's an app you can download, and they offer teletherapy as well. They're 100% teletherapy as well. They also do take some insurances as well, so you can check it out. It's NOCD, and that's available on the app stores and Google Play, and you can go online and Google, and you can check them out as well. So. I love that, Marianne. Don't be upset. Just hug those sons of yours and tell them you love them. That's it. And I appreciate the virtual hug. Oh, Phyllis. Yeah, I knew somebody would answer. I love this group. Oh my gosh. So Colleen, Phyllis wrote, have you checked with the Office of Disability Affairs or whatever it may be called at your school? Great idea. And there's some anxiety in the classroom links. Perfect. Marianne wrote, absolutely fine, Ethan. I had checking OCD before my 3 children, who are all 2 months early. Okay. The sense of responsibility was overwhelming, and I smothered them with my OCD rituals. And you're not alone. You're not alone. Oh, Colleen, yes, dead end. We'll get you in the right place, Colleen. There's Andy. She has been diagnosed with OCD. Her intrusive thoughts is what's making her do it. Yes. Okay. Understood. So in regards to your daughter, Andy, I would say definitely behavioral therapy, exposure response prevention therapy, and get her with a specialist if that's an option, that specializes in kiddos with OCD, that do cognitive behavioral therapy. So we can quickly teach her to not engage in those in those rituals and compulsions. So I guess my next question is, beyond the diagnosis, is she in any treatment? Has she engaged in any treatment? Have you gone through any treatment? for her. And if not, we can definitely direct you towards some options. Kayla, this week's ERP treatment motivational story: fall flat on my face less than 2 blocks into evening trail run because I was ritualizing. So, this reminds me of two things. One is my fiance's father is a triathlete, which is incredible because he's like 67. And not this summer, but last summer we went to watch him race in Lake Placid, and he has a history of tripping when he crosses the finish line, and he's fallen like numerous times right at the finish line, and because they video and take a picture, and all his pictures are like he didn't do it. But and then I will tell you that I have a story, which is I I twisted my foot and ended up in the hospital actually being mindful. So it works both ways. I was hiking in the mountains in Malibu, and I was like watching my steps almost compulsively because I didn't want to trip because it was branchy and holy. And then you cross over this ridge on this hike and you see the ocean, and I was like, man, I should just be here and be present and look at this beautiful ocean and take nature in. And as soon as I did that, the next step I took, I turned my ankle and popped it. So either way, it'll happen. But I appreciate the motivation, and hopefully you got up and finished your trail run. That's what's important. Everybody's sending you lots of hugs, Lana. Looking at my bleeding knees and at nearest individuals, my internal response was, "Yep, that just happened because I gave into OCD. Another cost of giving into OCD. Grayson was right again. My rituals are useless anyway." That should be the quote of the day. I love that, Kay. That's fantastic. Um, she also wrote, "My OCD ERP therapist, that was a win and an appropriate reply to work on curbing more rituals. He's right. Also, I think self-compassion workbook time helped with reducing the immediate shame." There's some really good compassion workbooks. Kim Quinlan has one out. Kristen Neff's, I have them all on the shelf over here. Uh, yeah, Kim's workbook. My cat is staring at me. The compassionate self compassion workbook for OCD is amazing. We can put a link to that. Um, oh, there you go, Jaber the binge watcher, man. Awesome. 741. Guys, you totally check out Ethan's talk with Kim Quinlan where she makes her focus on a B minus argument. You'll not regret it. Trust me. That's what it was. I'm glad. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Um, so Marion wrote, "I'm 60. My kids are over 30. I grew up not knowing what on earth was wrong with me and thought I was the only strange person in the world. Still haven't found good therapy in the UK. It's not too late to unravel the decades of OCD mayhem. Is it, Ethan? What do you think?" No, it's definitely not too late. It is definitely not too late. Great question. And there's some great resources in the UK too. I'm sure you know OCD Action, OCD UK. I know it's tricky in the UK because with national healthcare, it can be difficult to find resources. Um, but there is good ERP therapy there, and perhaps we can help direct you in some directions if you haven't been there already. But no, it's never too late. It's never too late. Um, and the reality of it is for a long time I was really angry. After I got better, I was really angry at the years I lost. And so I was, for those of you that may or may not know my story, had it since birth, diagnosed at 14, proper treatment at 31, bedridden, really sick. um, and when I got better, I was so pissed. I was so pissed. I mean, just so pissed. And I really lived in the past, and I lived to catch up to all the things that I had missed. How do I, looked at all my friends and family members and everybody that had, you know, graduated from college and had kids and families and jobs and houses, and here I was, just came from Boston, no money, gave up my acting career. You know, I was moving out to LA when 18-year-olds were out there. It just like, right? We all compare ourselves. Look, we don't need OCD to make comparisons to other people. You just need social media for that. So But I spent so much time focusing on the past, reliving the past, wishing I could get the past back, all the things I missed. Every time something didn't work out, oh, I had that in the past. And if it just weren't for this OCD, it would have worked out this way, or would have worked out that way, or I would have married, every shit date that I had. I then go back and be like, oh, that girl that I dated, the OCD. Who knows? In reality, I could have gotten hit by a bus at 22. I don't. In my head, life would have been amazing without OCD, right? But who knows? Who knows? My point is that I think it's totally valid. Is 100%. I don't think it's 100% valid to be um, upset at OCD and angry at OCD for what it took. Um, but we also have to take a breath and only look forward and realize that we can't change the past, and it sucks. It sucks. There's no way around it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you like just put it behind you. Well, it is the past. It is behind you. But hey, come on. It's not. No, it sucks. It's horrible. It's horrible. But I will tell you that the minute I let go of the anger, the minute I realized that I could use my pain as a purpose and my mess as a message, was when it all transformed for me in terms of my anger around what I had lost and what I had missed, and realizing that if I were 30 or 70 or 80, what can I do with the time I have left? That's all that matters. That's all that matters. We always joke that she sees dead people, because she's always staring at nothing, and that's what she's doing now, right? Say hi to everyone. This is Bonnie. Bonnie, everyone, right? Are you good? Okay. It's the other cat. But yeah, she just we think she sees dead people. So anyway, so I will tell you quickly. I went to a camp. I couldn't go to sleepaway camp. I went to one and I ran away after 2 days because the OCD. I was terrified and got picked up and made this whole thing, and all the stuff. Um, and in 2015, I was invited to go to an OCD camp, as a guest mentor and speaker and all this stuff. And I went and I was there for a week, and it was really one of the best weeks I've ever had in my entire life. It was amazing. And it was in Utah. And we were at equine therapy. And I was watching these kids, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, engage with the horses. And like most of the kids kind of lost themselves in the moment. They were really happy. And in that moment, I realized, oh, I gave up my childhood so they could have one. And it hit me hard. Man, it hit me really hard, but it made sense. I gave up my childhood so they could have one. And suddenly, I mean, that day, all of the anger toward the past went away because everything started to make sense. I'm here now with you all because of all of that. Um, and so I stopped being angry because it was all for a reason. I'm not saying I'm not saying I'd want to do it over again, but I'm also saying I don't know I wouldn't change anything either. Um, what's your purpose? Whether you're struggling, whether you're not struggling, what's your purpose? What can you do? Even within wherever you are, meeting yourself where you are doesn't have to look like this, right? You're all talking to each other and supporting each other. You have purpose in this room. But that was the moment I sort of stopped trying to relive everything. So my point is, it's never too late, um, and you want to look forward. You want to look forward. Tomorrow is a new day. It's not guaranteed, but it's a new day, and what are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it? What can we do with it? It's a rhetorical question, but ask yourself that question. Um, oh, Marion, you're so sweet. Thank you. But hopefully that resonates with you. And Andy, you know, so no treatment yet for either one of us. Okay. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, and that's the thing. You're in the right place. I don't know if this is your first time here, but please visit the IOCDF website. There's a link to the resource directory just above your comment on YouTube, and you can find a therapist in your area that specializes in kiddos. You can also email me. I'll give that out at the end, and there you go. Thank you, Skyla, and we'll get your listen. Treating OCD in kids is really effective. Really effective. It's amazing if they can get treatment at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You can really nip OCD in the bud. Um, so I would definitely say reach out, ASAP, and try to get in some treatment and therapy so we can stop the behaviors, except especially with the harming rituals, for sure. Um, and I'll give out my information at the end. So with all of that, I do not have time for my stories, but I hope that we found um, I hope we found this a little bit soul healing and a little bit rejuvenating and a little bit helping ourselves find compassion, putting our hands to our hearts and just kind of holding ourselves where we are. Yeah. And recognizing that we're all beautiful, um, beautiful creatures that are doing the very best we can, whatever that looks like, however that looks like. It's very private when you're licking your crotch, and so I'm just trying to give her some pride. Way to break the moment, right? Like totally, like just break the moment, like going for the self-compassion, like moment, and then like behind me, the cat is like licking the butt thing. It's weird, right? It's a little weird, but if it brought you a laugh, then we're in. I planned it this way. We're broadcasting, right? I mean, you have no shame, no shame. But there's a dead person up there, but no shame. You can go back, go back. It's okay. Go back. I'm sorry. I apologize. There's no backgrounds here, so you kind of get it. And thank you all for the yeah, self-cleaning kitty. Thanks, Mom. Good to see you, Mom. Welcome. Um, and thank you, Kay. Yeah, you know what? It wasn't hard to share. It was necessary because I want you all to know that um, all of us here have a purpose, and we're so bad at noticing the little wins. Marianne, Lana, all of us. What are our little wins? Pick out little wins today. What did you do? What'd you do? Did you get up, take a walk, take a shower? Like those are wins. Those are wins. You don't compare ourselves to other people. So anyway, I do hope you found this a little cathartic and maybe this helped you get resources, perspective. I know it was helpful for me, so thank you for supporting me. We're in this together always, and that's why I love these conversations because they're just between us, and you help me, and I help you, and we're in this together. So, with all of that, I want to thank the IOCDF and Skyla, as always. Skyla behind the scenes for doing her thing. Tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, you can join Liz and Chris for this month's Lunch and Learn on the impact of language on treatment. You can submit questions ahead of time on social at IOCDF or online at iocdf.org/peace of mind. Incidentally, you can also see the entire schedule of future live streams at iocdf.org/peace of mind. Also, the 2022 Spanish Language OCD Conference is just a few weeks away, and volunteer applications for bilingual Spanish English speakers are still open. All volunteers will receive a free registration to the conference, as well as the online OCD conference in November. 2 conferences, 1 volunteer. That's a cool deal. Learn more and apply to volunteer at the link on the screen. That's conferenciadetalk.com. Nailed it. You know who that's for. Did not look ahead either. It's an inside joke. She'll appreciate it. Finally, you can view recordings of past live streams on IOCDF's YouTube channel, youtube.com/IOCDF. And please subscribe and like and follow us on all social platforms so you get notified when we go live. If you need resources, always visit iocdf.org. And finally, I will give out my email. Now, here is my caveat. I'm way behind on my emails. Work has been insanely busy, and I've been working all nighters, and it's why I look 70. And so, oh, hey there. All right, trolling. That's new. Skylar, your first opportunity to boot. Um, uh, Maybe they saw the cat and got into it. I don't know. Welcome. You are welcome here. Um, anyway, uh, I, the caveat. Sorry, it was a little distracting for those of you on YouTube. Um, the caveat is, thank you. I'm behind on my emails, and I apologize for that so much. So if you've emailed me and I haven't responded, I'm so sorry. So with that, here's my email address, but it will take me a minute to get back to you. It is justethan@iocdf.org. The email goes directly to me. It is private. It is not shared with anybody else. So please feel free to be honest and open. There we go. And I will try to get back to you, but I am a month behind on emails, so I apologize. If you want to try to reach me sooner, you can always email the foundation at info@iocdf.org, and they can harass me, and I'll probably get back to you a little quicker. Um, and if you want to email the foundation in general for anything that you need, support, ideas, treatment, anything, it's info@iocdf.org. All right. With that, thank you so much for being here. This is a really special conversation. I appreciate all of you so much. So thank you for spending your Tuesday evening with us. Um, have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay vigilant, feel the feels. Don't let OCD off the hook, please. Give yourself lots of self compassion. And we'll see you actually next week. We will be on. So next Tuesday. We'll see you then.